Good afternoon, everybody. All right. We are expecting quite a great turnout today, about 25 of us, and we've got about 20 in as of right now. So just going to give it a couple more minutes. And thank you, everybody, for making time for this.
Emma, come here. Sorry, everyone.
That's all right. So nice to see so many of you with your cameras on too. Thanks for doing that. This is obviously a session that's intended to help all of us get to know each other a little bit better. So if you're able and suitable to have your camera on, that's always a nice feature. We have all the finalist teams have indicated they could join today. And we also invited all of your advisors and professors as well. So we should have a really good conversation and just start getting things planned for a couple months from now. All right, well, it seems like it's pretty stable, holding at about 20 of us. So I think there's Ben. Hey, Ben. So Ben and I are the representatives from Washington Media Scholars on the call today. And we're going to share a little bit of this presentation. But a lot of the purpose of this call, I'm sure you hopefully got great news and received your letters that you're advancing to the next phase of the competition. And I'm sure you have questions. So we wanted to make sure that we leave a lot of time to go over those kinds of things. And also you all have been so creative and insightful so far in your presentations. You know, this is another great opportunity to chat with Ben and ask him questions about the final presentations that will be held during the Media Scholars Week. So with that said, I'm just going to quickly share my screen here. And you probably already got a notification, but I am recording this session, hopefully with everybody's permission. But we wanted to make sure that we can post this and you can refer to it back on our YouTube page as a reference and resource if you need it going forward. So Ben is the cool guy in the shades. If you are seeing him on your screen, I am not so cool over here, but let's just get started. Hopefully, there we go. Okay, so here's just a little preview of everything we're going to be talking today. We want you to introduce yourselves to us. We're going to share some key dates and timelines that are coming up. Ben is going to give you a run through of what you need to know about the final presentation process, the judges and the judging process and how you'll be scored, what the awards are that you're competing for. We'll give you a little preview of just how robust that week is looking and shaping up to be as we're putting that agenda together. And then we'll leave some time for questions as well. And then I'll just preview for all of you after this session. This was really just to sort of get us all introduced to one another and talk through some of the questions, but there's a whole lot of dialogue that's going to happen one-on-one between me and all of you in the coming weeks as we finalize your travel plans and get all of your information. So tomorrow, I'm going to be sending you a travel questionnaire that has all the fields that we'll need you to complete and fill out and send back to us so that we can work with our travel agent to get your travel booked and that type of thing. So I try and be sensitive and not overwhelm people with emails, but please do keep an eye on those timelines. If there's a deadline in the email, it's probably an important deadline that we really need you to meet and hold up your end so that we can keep things moving along. So with that said, here is a preview of the 8 different schools and institutions that are represented. through our 6 finalist teams. And also we have some of the alternate teams on the call today as well. So we have a couple of combo teams. And so I think the best way to kick things off is let's just go in the order that you're seeing on screen. So we'll go across the top and then the bottom. And our first team is actually a combo team. So Biola and Patrick Henry College. So Marta and Trinity, you want to kick us off?
Sure, yeah.
Hello. Oh.
Tell us a little bit like your name, your team name, and your individual names, when you're graduating, your major, and if you have any thoughts about what you've enjoyed in the competition so far.
Yeah, of course. I can start off. My name is Marta Dropping. Our team name is Dropping Parents. Pretty straightforward. I'm the one that goes to Biola University. I'm graduating in 2023, so I'm a junior this year, and my major is public relations with a concentration in strategic communication, digital management, social media. I think that my favorite part about this entire process is I actually knew nothing about media buying, like not a single thing. And so just being able to learn about it and kind of find a new passion was, I think, my favorite part of all.
Trinity?
Yeah, well, my name is Trinity. I'm from Patrick Henry College. I am majoring in economics and business analytics. I should be graduating in 2025. And I would probably say my favorite part of this whole experience has, I would also say, just been learning about social media and how you are supposed to create these kinds of plans. And again, like Marta, I was not an expert in this. I'm still not, but it's been really cool to get to understand and learn just different areas of how creative you can be in making these kinds of plans. So that was something I didn't actually see coming. I didn't know just how interested in it I was actually going to be until we started doing it. So that was probably my favorite part.
Great. Well, that's a great introduction. Thank you. How about the our Brigham Young team goes next?
Hello, I'm Gabby.
I'm Maddie.
I'm graduating in 2023, so 1 year from now, hopefully. And I'm majoring in advertising, specifically strategy and kind of account management. I really love this project because of the ability to be creative and kind of the lack of rules of how we were supposed to kind of go about it, and just working with Maddie to do that was really fun.
Yeah, I'm Maddie. Like I said, I'm graduating in 2023 in advertising too. What I really enjoyed about this project was, one, I really like figuring out the target market and writing about that. That was probably my favorite part. And then kind of what Gabby said, just like the ability to be creative and kind of do whatever we wanted with what we were given.
That's great. I should have asked too, so I'm going to go back, but first, is your advisor on the call? Maybe Tom could introduce himself as well.
Oh,
hi. Oh, that was easy.
Hi, I'm Tom Robinson, and I teach advertising here at BYU. And this has been a really fun project. Our whole class worked on it. So I'm very proud of these guys moving forward. Our alternate team is also here. So
great. We'll come back to that in just a minute.
And the Ball State team's coming up. I used to teach at Ball State. So just
that's great. All right. And how about the advisor for Biola or Patrick Henry? I skipped over that, so I'll go back in case he's on.
I don't believe they were able to attend today.
Okay, great. I just didn't want to miss them. Well, then we'll go, and advisors and professors, if you don't mind just hanging out at the very end of this call, we'll have a little special discussion for you folks. And I think we're going to end early anyhow. So just hang on if you can at the end of the call. So we'll go right on to Ball State then. Is Lexi and Drew on?
Yeah, I can start. So hi, my name is Lexi. Drew and I, our team name is the Concept Crew, and we go to Ball State. So I am a journalism major. I'll be graduating in 2023. I'm a junior right now. And my favorite part of the project has been the research and the background and really the creative problem solving involved with all of it. It's been a really fun challenge.
That's
Yeah.
great. Drew?
My name is Drew Wilperger. I also am graduating in 2023. I'm a junior. I'm studying video production. My favorite part of this whole thing has been kind of learning as I go. It's been mentioned before, but like learning the whole media buying process and the strategy behind it as I go has been fun. It's been something a little bit different from all my classes. So I've really enjoyed being able to do that.
That's great. And is Ball State's advisor on? No.
Hi. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. Hi. My name is Sungwon Jung. Actually, I'm the faculty advisor for the team. So I teach advertising and research here, and I feel very lucky to have the excellent team, at Ball State University. So I'm very proud of my team. So
That's great. Congratulations. I can say I recused myself from all voting, but I am a Ball State alum myself. So it is nice to see so many familiar, or not familiar, but Ball State faces on the call today. That just was a happy circumstance since I'm fairly new to the organization too. Okay, next we'll go to Ithaca College.
Hi everyone, I'm Linnea Carchidi and I am a junior at Ithaca College studying integrated marketing communications. I'm on team SLC with Holden, and SLC stands for Student Leadership Consultant. We work the same job on campus, so that's why we chose that for our team name. And I think it was Lexi who said that her favorite part was like putting the research and the creative together, and that's also my favorite part, just like taking the insights from what the research gives us and like finding ways to make our creative decisions out of that.
Great. Holden?
Hi, I'm Holden. I'm also a junior integrated marketing communications. Sorry, I hear my voice echoing in the room I'm in right now. Kind of similar, Lane kind of stole mine, but I think one of the things I really liked most about the project was trying to balance out making the plan while also being in the middle of midterms week and everything else. Like it kind of sucked, but it was really fun, like knowing that I could manage my time that well and making it out well. Yeah.
That's great. It's great that you thought that that was the great part. It may only get easier from here for you then. And how about it's Lisa, who's your advisor. Is Lisa on? Sorry, I don't have faces yet. Hi, Lisa. Nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I have these headphones. Okay. Yeah, I'm Lisa Farman. I'm one of the professors in the Integrated Marketing Communications program at Ithaca College, and I teach media planning, and I also teach a couple other advertising related classes. I love the Washington Media Scholars Foundation and the program, this whole competition. I love it. I try and convince my students to do it every year. And I'm so happy that Linnea and Holden decided to do it this year, and happy to be here.
Great. Thank you for that. And I'm just going to continue with the finalist teams right now. So if we could have the finalist team from Iowa State.
Hi, my name is Ellie Flynn, and this is Claire. We're Team Greenlee. We're both freshmen at Iowa State, and I'm majoring in public relations, and she's also in public relations. Yeah. I think our favorite thing about this whole process is it was definitely kind of a learn as you go thing. So it was really interesting to learn the media planning and buying and the different strategies behind it.
Yeah, so yeah, as we're freshmen, so we did have to do a lot of learning and kind of talking to other professors and other students who have gone through the Washington Media Scholars process. So I think it was just a really great way to kind of learn and as you go kind of thing. And I think it was also really cool to see how our first thing that we turned in, which was, very brief, turned into a very detailed narrative with a lot more components to it. So I think it was really cool to see how it turned from something so more simple, more beginner level to something very complex, and really show off our skills on the last one that we turned in.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you both. How about Jay? You want to jump in here and introduce yourself?
Oh, sure. Okay, so I'm Jay Newell, and I'm a professor at Iowa State University, and this is the coolest thing. And I know Ben's been listening to the number of times we've heard the word creative and media in the same sentence, and just loving that you guys have figured that out already. That the stuff that other people might think is a lot of numbers and is constrained isn't really. It's about thinking, beyond the horizon, and it's just been a pleasure working with Ellie and Claire and the backup team, Megan and Ellen, on this, and just seeing how they do. And I can't wait to see what these guys do next. So thank you for the opportunity to let these guys shine.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. How about if we move on to Temple?
Hi, everybody. My name is Mia Iannucci. I'm a junior. I'll graduate in 2023 in the spring. I'm an advertising major in a concentration of media planning. So I would definitely say that my favorite part of this entire process has truly been taking what I've learned in the classroom and putting it to use here. That's been something super special to me. Our team name is Owls in Media. I should have said that at the beginning. But yeah, it's been a wonderful experience with the help of my professor and just all the material that was provided to us. It was really just, make it as you go. And it was great to see everything that I learned and how I could put it to use.
That's great. And your partner?
I don't know if Shiv was able to make it on the call, but I know that my professor, Allison Ebeck, is here.
Great. Allison, you want to introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, hi, and just throwing an applause to Mia for representing Owls in Media. It's wonderful to be here and see some friendly faces. I am a professor at Temple University, and I oversee our media planning track. Believe it or not, we have multiple media planning classes, which we're very proud of. And I also oversee a graduate program between our business school and our communications program. I'm thrilled to see the team joining today and very excited to hear more about what we have in store for June. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So I think that covers all of our finalist teams, but we do have this year we have a slightly different way of, obviously we're coming out of COVID and we're really hoping for the best. But it's the first time we were returning to an in-person event in 3 years. And we thought that it would be a good idea just to have some depth on the bench. And also there were just so many fantastic submissions this year that it gives us an opportunity to have some more student teams stay involved in the competition and at least participate through the virtual sessions of Media Scholars Week as well. So I would love for the 3 alternate teams to also introduce themselves. We have one of the teams is from Brigham Young, so we'll start there. I think they were in the same room, right, with everybody else?
Yeah. So I'm here and my partner's in a different room on Zoom, but I'm Rachel Dyke. I'm at Brigham Young University. Fernanda Chacon is my partner. She'll introduce herself in a second, but we're both juniors in the advertising program. I have an emphasis in strategy and I'm hoping to graduate next year in 2023. I think that's it. Oh, our team name was F&R because we're very creative. Yeah. And Fernanda, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Fernanda, and like Rachel said, we have been working together in this competition. Just like she said, I'm majoring in advertising, and I'm also graduating next year in April. I guess my favorite part of the competition was just getting to know the target market and just basically just becoming them. Like just trying to understand what they like, what they do, their interests, and basing of our social media on what they like.
Great. All right. Thank you. How about our alternate team from Iowa State?
Yeah, I can start. My partner Ellie isn't here, so I'll just kind of be both of us, I guess, today. But I'm Megan. I'm from Iowa State. I'm a junior. I should graduate next year, hopefully. I'm a major in advertising, and then I minor in data science. My favorite part of the competition, I mean, I feel like everyone's kind of already said a lot of stuff, but I liked going through the data and trying to figure out how to put that in a clear way for someone who maybe doesn't have the data to look at, to help them kind of understand like why we're choosing different methods of advertising. So it was fun to kind of combine both my interests in one project.
Great. Thank you. And you said your partner, Ellie, was not able to make it, right?
Yeah, she was not able to make it today.
Great. All right. And then our last alternate is also a combo team. We have Emily from Ithaca College and Richard Doyle, who's from Grand Valley State. So Emily, do you want to, if you're on, would you like to kick it off?
Fortunately, Emily could not make it, so I guess I'll just start. So I'm Richie. I'm from Grand Valley State University. Me and Emily are both seniors, and we're both majoring in marketing. My favorite part about the competition was basically the same thing that everyone else has said. I feel like, at least for me, like it was the process, being given this sheet of data and just trying to have to, without much of a template, create an entire project or presentation out of it. The steps along the way were challenging, and definitely it taught me a lot that I feel like in a way that like a lot of other classes haven't been able to. So I really appreciate the competition for that. And it was my favorite part.
That's great. All right. Was there anybody that I missed? Everyone's had a chance? Great. Ben, do you want to give any of your background that maybe you haven't shared in previous calls, or your alumnus?
Well, you tell me. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Took liberties with the work from home model here this week when my family's on spring break. So I went business on top for you guys, beach on the bottom. Yeah, Ben Engel. I've been since no one else in the call from the foundation other than Kara, who's relatively new. I'll take liberties and say I was the first volunteer for the foundation, dating back to 2009. I've been pretty involved ever since, and thoroughly enjoyed being involved with this program and seeing all the young people come through and do really well, not just with the competition, but also in their careers. Some of our first year students are now on one of our advisory boards, are in the industry working with me. They're not nearly as young as you guys are anymore. It's been just a joy to watch that happen, and to see so many people come through, discover new interests, try new things, apply themselves, think critically, and take time out of your college schedules, your academics, your social life, your extracurriculars to do this. It says something about you, no matter how far you go in it. It says a little bit about you that employers like me and like the ones you'll meet throughout this process key in on. It's a great character trait. So we're glad that you participated, glad you're all here, and look forward to getting to know you guys all a little bit more over the next couple of weeks.
Great. Thanks, Ben. So we'll just keep moving right along here. So now that everyone knows each other a little bit better, let's get familiar with some of the dates that are coming up on the horizon very quickly. So obviously everyone was notified back at the end of March, and we're on today's video conference. I want to thank those of you who have already submitted to me your bios and headshots and the mini profiles. We'll be mining those for a lot of sound bites and that kinds of thing over the next couple weeks. My plan is to feature a student every day and have their headshot and some snippet in there about their participation in the competition and their background. So starting the week of April 11th and going on through May 6th, I'll tag you in your social media as well, but look for your own profile. And we definitely encourage you to share those, reshare, post them on your own social media pages. Definitely get some bang for your buck here on some much deserved recognition. But we're excited to tell everybody about all of you too. And we also will draft and release a press release. And we'll share that with you all so that your schools and the advisors, your schools can share that information as well. So that will be happening over the next couple of weeks. But one of the most important deadlines is this travel questionnaire. And there's also just a general consent form to continue on in the participation or in the contest. And we sort of lay out some of the ground rules there and the expectations, and we just want to make sure that everybody has transparency and full understanding of what they're getting into. And we ask that everyone sign those consent forms and get them back to us in email by, it's a week from now, next Wednesday, the 13th. So if you have questions about that, we can talk about that in our Q&A section. We also, in order to put more in-person content in the week, we've moved a couple of the educational sessions to be virtual in the weeks leading up to the in-person Media Scholars Week. And so these are the opportunities that, as I was mentioning, that the alternate teams are welcome to also participate in. So this is where we do our business etiquette session. We'll do a social media session. We may do Ben's Media Buying 101, or at least a part of that in advance of your arrival. And he might do a little bit more in depth with you when you all arrive in DC. But we are asking you for now to please try and block on your calendars the 23rd and 24th of May from 9 to 12. I don't think that we'll end up utilizing all of that time, but that gives me the flexibility to schedule the speakers and have a couple different blocks of time to work with. So if you are, when you sign your consent form, we do ask for you to make a commitment that you will participate in all of these sessions, as well as coming to DC. So we know that's a big commitment. We know you have internships and jobs and that kind of thing, but hopefully you can work around these things. If there really truly are extenuating circumstances, always reach out to me and let me know. We can talk that through. But we really think your participation is important and critical to your success going forward in the competition. Of course, the 6 teams will be traveling to DC. And those arrivals will be on Sunday, June 5th, and departures probably some on June 9th and some on June 10th, depending on where you're headed back to after that. But the big culmination is the final presentations and awards presentations on Thursday, June 9th. So I've just identified here the presentations, and Ben's going to dive a little deeper into how that works. Will be on Thursday morning, starting very early at 8, and each team will present for an allotted amount of time. So those will run between 8 and 11:30 a.m. And then we'll go straight to our awards luncheon, and the judges will deliberate, and then those awards will be presented at the luncheon. And then we've added a little extra event for our sponsors this year, which is a media mixer. This is going to be back at our shared offices in Old Town Alexandria, and very close to where the host hotel is. So for students who are laying over that night and not leaving until the next morning, this is an opportunity to come to the media mixer as well. It's just a casual, heavy hors d'oeuvres reception, but you can meet more media industry executives at that event as well. But that is not a mandatory one. If you need to get back to your lives at home, the media mixer is something that is optional. So I did a little bit of a deeper dive here just to give you a little overview of what the pacing of the days is looking like. So when everybody arrives at some point between 11 and 5, hopefully on Sunday, you'll come to the Residence Inn, Arlington Capitol View. That's our host hotel. You'll have a room assignment. You'll have a roommate assignment, and you'll check in. I'll be in the lobby to meet you. We'll do a little orientation that night at the hotel before we hit the town and go to, this is a little bit tentative, so just bear with me if you see some changes, but we'll take you to some cool parts of town for dinner and for some fun, time together before we check out the monuments at night, which I think the monuments, I don't know how many of you have been to DC, but in my opinion, the time to view the time, yeah. Ben and I, all of our kids are jaded because they've grown up here and don't have the appreciation for these beautiful sites and monuments, but they're really quite spectacular at night. So we're going to do a whirlwind tour. The suggestion was made maybe to make it a Segway tour, but I think that's just too dangerous at night potentially. So we'll probably make it easy and do it by shuttle bus so that we can all stay together and again, get to know each other. And then we'll come back to the hotel that night. Our days start very early, by 8:30, we need you to be down in the hotel. It's a Residence Inn, so it's a complimentary hot breakfast every morning, and you have breakfast on your own time and be ready to go by the time on our schedule. So first things first, we'll bring you back to our offices and do a professional photo shoot. So you have a headshot and you'll have some business cards that you can hand out to folks on your visits. We want you to spend some time meeting the founder of Washington Media Scholars, Robin Roberts, and he really enjoys this part the most. So we'll have a coffee with him. And Lewis Wall is on our board and is a very distinguished background. And he every year does a presentation to the students about how to make your presentations the best. So we like to try and have this earlier in the week so you can benefit from that instruction and those tips and maybe work those into your presentations as well for Thursday. Then we're planning a whole bunch of tours offsite with other sponsors and members of the media industry who have a presence here in DC. So some of them will be lunch and learns, some of them will be more straightforward tours. And on Monday night, you'll have time for dinner on your own. So you can pair up and we do ask that wherever you go in DC that you do travel in pairs. We don't like you to go off exploring truly on your own, but you can sort of check out whatever you read about in advance for dinner that night. On Tuesday, it's looking a little bit more similar to Monday with more tours and breakfast. We'll add in the job shadowing. So this is where we'll send groups of 2 to 4 students at a time to certain, you'll identify to us what your interest areas are for professional development. And we will then assign you to a member of the media industry or one of our partners who's hosting students for job shadowing. So this is about a 2.5 hour long opportunity to shadow somebody at the office. And then we'll head to dinner that night with the CEO of Purple Strategies. Chris Durlock is going to host all the students back at Purple's headquarters and just do a casual pizza dinner. And he is a really cool guy. And we are working with Chris right now, Media Scholars is actually. Some of you might be familiar with NIL, name, image, likeness opportunities with athletes and college students. And we're working with a local George Mason University basketball player to do a little social influencing for Media Scholars. So he can talk to you a little bit more about that project and how that's going as well. And then, of course, each night we're building in plenty of time for you to get back to the hotel, relax, hang out with each other informally, but most importantly, we need to leave you time for you as a team to rehearse in your hotel rooms and that kind of thing so that you're keeping yourselves brushed up. And also, some teams have incorporated their learnings through the tours and things that they've learned during Media Scholars Week. You can still be making those changes and tweaks if that's your desire during the week. Wednesday is a big day. So we have a couple of tours. We also are building in rehearsal time for you at the hotel. But we have our dinner that night at Landini Brothers, and this is a very sort of classic Washington establishment hotel, not hotel, a restaurant in Old Town. It's beautiful, it's very intimate. We have our private room upstairs, and our two important groups will join us that night, the Media Scholars Foundation board members, and we have a new group, an advisory committee of 12 members, and these folks are just so pumped and so full of ideas and so excited to meet all of you. And so they will also be joining us for dinner that night at Landini Brothers. We will also draw for presentation order that night. So all the teams will know that night what order they're presenting. And I think we're going to need to do some posed photos that night. So we might do some advanced work, have a backdrop and have the awards and get some of those posed photos that we probably won't have time to get on Thursday, which is our tradition. So you'll be coming to that dinner with maybe more business attire style dress on. And same for Thursday. So just a heads up when you're packing, when you're thinking about your packing list, all of these tours and that type of thing, Ben, correct me if I'm wrong, but we really probably expect that students to be dressed in business attire as they travel from place to place. Would that be safe to say?
That's correct.
Great. Professional. And we'll let you know if there's a deviation from that in advance. But for now, I think, planning to look presentable or how you would dress for a professional internship is a good guideline. But our presentations will be that morning. It will be easy because you'll just head downstairs. We have a private room reserved for those presentations, so there won't be any commuting that you need to do to get there. You'll know your presentation order the night before. And I should have mentioned, we do have a deadline the night before at 5:30. So before you come to dinner, you will have to submit at that point your final presentation documents. So if you've made some changes or anything like that, you'll still have to submit them and upload them to a Google folder so that we can have them ready for you in your presentation the next morning. So after the presentation, your presentation is finished, then we'll start students Ubering together over to the luncheon location, which is in downtown DC, at another iconic Old Washington establishment, the Metropolitan Club. And we do ask that our students sort of serve as greeters for our guests. So they're helping to welcome the rest of our luncheon guests as they arrive that day. And we'll sit down for lunch about 12:30 and go until 2. And we have some photos with the winners after they're announced at that luncheon. So that's sort of the mandatory events that are part of where, we expect all the finalist teams to participate in all those events that I just mentioned. After the luncheon, there may be students who have to get on a flight that afternoon and head back home, which is understandable. So when we're filling out that questionnaire, I'll be asking some questions about that and ask what your preference is. And then we'll be matching that up to what the flight availability is. And we'll definitely do our best. If you're not flying home that night, there's an opportunity that afternoon for if you meet somebody during the week and you wanted to schedule some additional job shadowing, this would be an opportunity where you could set that up for yourself. And then we have that media mixer that evening, which, as I said, is heavy hors d'oeuvres. And we have a little bit more latitude at the media mixer to, if you have a guest who's in town for the competition or who's escorted you, there's some students whose parents are close enough by that they come. This is something that we could accommodate an additional guest for you at the media mixer. And then for those who are there for Friday morning, breakfast, it's available every morning at the hotel, and we'll have checkouts and remaining departures. So that's sort of a glimpse, more than a glimpse actually, of the full week. And now I'm going to ask Ben to spend a little time prepping you for what's ahead with the final presentations.
Thanks, Kara.
Mhm.
Okay, folks. So the reason you're here is that you did good work so far, but there's still more work to do. Those that are coming to DC and will be presenting the finals, you have a case that you've written, and you've done a nice job. But the competition gets harder now, and in the 13 years we've done this, this was the first year where we could have had 15 different teams make it to the finals. The field was deeper than it ever has been. Meaning that I don't think, in my mind, there's not a clear favorite, and it's the first year that I haven't thought there was a clear favorite heading into finals week. So what that means for you is make sure you're prepared. You've done your work, but now spend time going back through your case, go back through your Excel sheet, go back through your written materials, and make sure that you are confident you have the right approach based on your target audience, based on the data, and based on your narrative. You're going to learn things and hear things over the course of Media Scholars Week that might make you second guess your plan, and that's okay. You're gonna meet a lot of salespeople, and they're really good salespeople, so they're going to be convinced. If you go to the Washington Post and spend 2 hours there, you're going to leave thinking that all advertising should be with the Washington Post. If you spend an hour with YouTube, you're going to think everything should go to YouTube. I meet these folks every day, and they all want to convince me to spend my money with them. Your job is to be the intermediary between your clients and the media companies and advise your client how to best spend their money, so they don't spend it all in one place because someone had a sexy sales pitch. Now, that's a long way to say, be prepared, make sure your case is ready, but it's okay if you want to make changes. My advice would be not to make wholesale changes when you get here, because you're not going to have the time. There's so many things you're going to be doing during the week. When you do have downtime, you're either going to want to rehearse, practice, or you're going to do something DC-ish, Alexandria-ish. Some of you might be the first time you're coming here, and if you've got 3 hours to get out and go see a monument or a museum, by all means, don't let us stop you. Don't tell Robin I said that, because he wants you to practice the whole time you're here. But you guys are 18 to 22 years old. Go out and see the world. But be prepared. Make sure you reread the case narrative. That'd be my number one piece of advice to you. Reread the case narrative. I'm going to be working with the judges. We're going to assemble a team of judges here over the next couple of weeks, and I'm going to be working with them and make sure that they fully understand what we wanted you guys to do. Make sure they understand the task, and make sure you've checked all the boxes of any of the questions that we asked you in the case. If we asked about GRPs for the adult audience and the target audience, make sure you've included that. If we're looking for explanations on index scores, make sure you've included that. And make sure you understand, because the people that you're going to be presenting to will understand it, and they'll ask you questions. We've seen lots of questions over the years from the judges. They're always delivered gracefully, but some can be tough and some can be pointed. I'm gonna bounce all around here. I don't have an order. Thanks, Kara, for the slide, but I'm just gonna bounce all around. So bear with me. And if you guys have questions, please feel to chime in, or if you want to put it in the chat, Kara, you kind of keep an eye on the chat and tell me if anybody puts anything there. The judges, we assemble a team. We'll have 5 or 6 judges that'll come from the industry. And what I mean by that is there'll be a judge from an agency like ours, national media. It won't be from someone from national media, because we've done all the judging to this point. We'll have someone similar to us that understands the media buying and planning process, that does what you guys had to do to get to DC. Then we'll have other industry professionals. Typically, we have someone from the linear television cable side. Typically, we have somebody from the digital side. We might grab someone for radio or print, and we try to find someone who works in an industry similar to what the theme of the case is about. This year, since it was a print publication, we'll likely find someone. We've got a couple of people in mind that work in the print industry, and that might have tried to launch a magazine themselves. So your case will be applicable to what they have done or what they are doing. We've had cases in the past where it's been helping sports teams build stadiums, and we've had someone who's in that particular period of time with their company that works for a sports team, and they're looking at the cases as potential solutions to their problem, and looking at the students as potential employees to hire to help with that problem. So be mindful of all of that. While fictitious, we've made it as real world as possible so that you guys can have a real world experience. this week, I had, I do this every day. Just this week, I had to put together a plan for a prospective client. I'm down to the last, it's me and another agency. Okay? So I'm in the semifinals, and I had to, write my explanation about how I thought they should run their plan, create a PowerPoint, share it with the consultants, virtually, and then rely on the consultant to present it to the client for me. And you second guess everything you do. I sent her 3 different options about what I thought she should do, and said that, I want to give them flexibility, because they're going to hear things from other teams. So be mindful that you're one of 6 that is going to be presenting, and you're all presenting about the same topic. So you want your ideas to be creative and stand out, but don't be so off the mark that they don't actually solve the problem that's presented to you in the case. And think about your delivery. Some of the best practices that I can offer, some of the best cases we've seen have been students that come in and they prepared so much that you're confident they could step into our industry today and do the job. That doesn't mean memorize every word you're going to say. Don't think of it as a movie script. Think of it as a complete understanding of the concepts and topics and ideas you have in your case, that you can talk about them fluidly in conversation. The judges will ask you questions, and they might ask you questions about things you heard that week from different sales pitches. If we have a judge from the radio industry and you don't have radio in your case, I guarantee you that person's going to ask you, where's radio? Be prepared to answer. And it doesn't have to be a script. Just be confident in your answer. The best presenters we've seen are the ones who, they're not reciting their script, but they know the material. It can just talk through it comfortably with the judges. Having a script is fine, and certainly rehearsing and practicing with your teammate is a good thing. That's how you get comfortable with the material, but it's okay if you miss a word. And if you want to have written notes, that's fine too. In terms of presentation format, I would highly, highly recommend using PowerPoint. We'll have the computer and the technology set up in the room for you to use, but relying on a comfortable tool like that is going to make it a little bit more seamless for you, knowing that it'll work. If you want to get advanced, give us a little bit of heads up so we can make sure our IT team is prepared to navigate any IT-like hurdles that might happen. But be prepared for technology not to work. If the power goes out, or if a slide is missed, or something happens, be prepared for that, and don't let it derail you when you're at the point to present to the judges. It can be intimidating standing in front of a room full of professionals and having to present to them for the first time. But for you guys, everyone in that room is rooting for you. We all want you to do well. Everyone you encounter, except for Carr, is a volunteer. Care is a volunteer, and a lot of them are donors to the program. So they're all rooting for you, and they're looking for the next crop of budding media professionals that are going to lead this industry for years to come. And you guys are at the top of that list right now. So that's a lot of not specific advice that goes a lot of different directions. Are there any questions? Kara, what did I miss?
No, I think you did a great job. Thanks for covering the PowerPoint part.
Yeah.
So when you're submitting your materials at 5:30 on Wednesday, it's just getting me that final PowerPoint, and if they've made any adjustments to their case narrative, do they need to do that, Ben?
Yeah. You can have up until that 5:30 time to rework anything you want. If you want to start from scratch, we're not going to stop you. I wouldn't advise it. I certainly wouldn't advise it, but we're not going to stop you from doing that. If make any changes you want, and you're gonna, like I said, you're gonna hear things that week that might make you want to change it, and that's okay. What I tell people is, instead of making wholesale changes, if you hear something that stuck out to you, work it into your presentation. Go through your plan, and then say, oh, by the way, we just got presented this idea by a salesperson. We think it could apply to this project, and here's how. It's not uncommon for me to get a sales pitch after I've already done the memo or the PowerPoint to the client, and call them back and say, I just heard about this new product. In the digital space, there are new products all the time. So it's our job to cut through the clutter and find things that work and things that don't work. If something makes sense for our client, it doesn't hurt to reach out and tell them about it. In your case, you'll have 30 minutes, so you're not going to email them after you present and tell them you heard something new. But if you hear something new that week, build it into your plan, or build it into your discussion with the judges.
You actually have 25 minutes, not
Okay,
30.
Oh, sorry, 25 minutes.
That's okay.
And like I've said, I've talked to you guys a couple of times throughout this process. Edit. Typos jump out. Make sure you've edited those things, and have someone read it that isn't involved. I had my wife, like the pitch I just told you about. I had my wife read my memo. 7-page memo. She knows nothing about media. She's a physical therapist, but I asked her. I said, just read this and look for any mistakes. I don't need you to understand it, but I just want you to does the tone fit? Are there any typos? Is the formatting okay? So ask a parent, ask a friend, ask a professor. They'll all be glad to help because everyone's pulling for you. We all wish we were still in college. We're not, so we're cheering for you guys to do well and enjoy the experience.
And Mia has a question, but before we
Yeah.
go to Mia, I want to just reiterate, Ben, because I know we sometimes say the same things year after year, but I'm not sure we've said it here. Our job is that the foundation gets to the judges your briefs in advance of them coming in the room that morning. So most of them, when they walk in the room, are at least already have a familiarity with each of the student briefs, right?
That's correct. They're all supposed to have read your case before the presentation. And also on that note, if I were you, I would assume that people are researching social media, before you come to their offices or before you come into the judge's room. If you didn't know that, you know it now. Employers are checking into their prospective employees through every means we have available to us. So be mindful that people are checking anything that's on social media about you.
Yes, and that's a direct suggestion, honestly, to all of you as you're representing media scholars leading up to the competition and during and immediately after, and also for your own benefit. Take a look at your social media accounts, all of them, do some scrubbing, cleanup, make things private that are even on the bubble of being questionable. We appreciate that, but I think it will also pay off to you in the long run. All right, Mia.
I just had a quick question about, is it a closed presentation? Will it just be us and the judges, or is it open to any of the other teams or anything like that?
Yeah, great question. It's closed. It'll be the team presenting and the judges. If your professor's in town, we invite them to watch just yours. We don't let professors watch any other teams. There might be a select invited guest here or there. We have an advisory council this year for the first time. So I've invited them to come and watch if they want. But I don't think I'll invite them to come for 6. I'll say pick a time and come for 1 or 2. And then if you have, if we've had parents that have traveled to town before, if a mom or dad is in town and is hovering around, I'll invite them into the room. So if they're there, introduce them to us so we know that they're there and can get them in the room with you. And we'll also, I'll sneak them into the parties later too. And on that note about the schedule, I would highly encourage you, if you can stay Thursday night, to stay, fly home on Friday. The evening event, I'm expecting it to be packed and you will make a lot of connections there. The lunch is going to be great. But the evening event is going to be more of a stand up, walk around the room social, where you'll get to meet a lot of different people. And I tell you what, the folks in our industry are really excited to be able to get together again, because like so many other things, it's been a long time since we've done this. And this was really a must attend event in our industry. And people are excited that it's coming back. So there are people coming in from all over the country, to celebrate your accomplishment, to meet you, and to socialize. And they'll be doing that that evening. And then their opportunities, it says it ends at 8, but I'm sure you guys have all gone to a party before. It does not end at 8. So leave your evening open. I'm pretty sure Lisa and Jay have shut it down in the wee hours of the morning before when they've been here. So leave your evening open. I'm not condoning any specific activities. I'm just saying that people like to socialize, and there are opportunities for you to meet people, go to dinners with folks, and go get yourself a job.
That's right. This experience can be everything that you make it and more. Lexi, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you could speak a little to how our presentations and content will be evaluated. I assume the judges will be looking at our presentation skills and the content of what we're talking about, but I was curious about how it would be weighted and what else they might be looking at.
Sure. So we give the judges a score sheet in advance of your cases, so they kind of know what they should use to evaluate. And it's largely what we asked you to do in the case. How did you define the target audience? Did you describe how they used media? Did you explain how you came up with index scores? Did you come up with a cost-effective way to spend the budget? What other creative things did you do or think of, or what unique ideas or presentation things did you include in your document? So there's a scoring system. We ask them to score your written document before they come in. Then we ask them to score your oral presentation, and then at the end we aggregate the scores for them, put them all on a screen so they can see how everyone judged them. But we rely on the judges to deliberate, because sometimes the scores don't tell the whole story. It could be something, that it factor. There was a team, it's been 7 or 8 years now. There's a team with a young lady from one of the California schools, and their written case wasn't the strongest in the field, but she came in and she was one of the most dynamic presenters I have ever seen, professional or in this case competition. She was outstanding. And the judges, you could see them scribbling down some notes, but they were just in awe. And I was curious what they were asked. And one judge, he's the owner of a company called GMMB. I think you'll meet them. Is that right? I think GMMB, are they on the list?
Yeah.
So they're a political ad agency, kind of like national media. Well, the judge, he asked the first question. He said, "Do you have a job?" And the young lady said, "No." He said, "Good, you're hired." And that was it. It was one of the coolest moments. And they ended up winning. They didn't have the strongest written case, but they were just this dynamic team, and this one young lady was outstanding. And she kind of carried them to the championship, if you will. Put her team on her back and carried the championship. So your written case is very important, because it's going to set the bar for what people are expecting to see from you. But there are other things that the judges are going to evaluate, and it's no different than what happens to me every day, in the real world. I'm not the best presenter in a room. I tend to enjoy the academic side of what we do. So I have to rely on graphics teams to build my presentations for me, or maybe someone who's a little bit more charismatic, or just a better people person that can read a room to do the presenting, and I can answer the technical questions, or the nerdy questions, if you will, the spreadsheets. So lean into your strengths, and you don't have to be a dynamic presenter. If you've got the strongest media case, make sure that that's what people remember, because that's what we're ultimately judging. Not we. I'm not a judge anymore, but I'll find judges.
I think you're a great presenter. So don't sell yourself short. You're not as nerdy as you think. And it looks like we're going back to me. I think all of that was really helpful for me. I'm hearing this a lot the first time. I'm sort of like all of you, sitting out there and absorbing like a sponge. So I think all that you're sharing, Ben, has been really helpful so far.
Let me add one more thing on that before we go to me again. We'll let you know who the judges are before you come, so you can do your research on them. So we would expect that they have some media experience, but they might not all be media experts. That's to say, the years we've had people from the sports industry, their job is marketing. So they have players that they can use to do lots of cool things at events and stuff, but they don't necessarily understand impressions and GRPs. But we do that intentionally, because every time I go into a boardroom, there are people there that have no clue what a GRP is. And I have to explain to them this concept and why it's important and why it matters, and for you to spend millions and millions of dollars on these things called GRPs. So there'll be people in the room that do know that those things too. We'll make sure of that.
Great.
And it's not your job to explain the industry language to them either.
Right.
So
We'll go to Mia and then the Brigham Young team next. Go ahead.
Yeah, so sorry, just another quick question. This doesn't have to do with the presentation, but in terms of when we're networking and we're at dinners with people and me like being a junior and I'm not going to be graduating right away and I'm not looking for work per se right away, how do you kind of like present that to employers in a way that lets them know like you're totally open to every option and opportunity that they can give you, but it can't be like an immediate start date type thing because I won't be graduating right away.
yeah, they all understand that. They all understand, know that you guys are college students, and they'll ask if you're still in college. They have internship programs. You know, these media companies, a lot of them own properties all over the country. You know, Tegna, Sinclair, Gray. They have TV stations or radio stations scattered through markets all around the country. So there could be opportunities for you to work for them, you know, in your hometown or where you go to school. But you know, you're not graduating maybe this year, but maybe next year or 2 years from now. And you know, odds are they're still going to be in business and still be hiring. So start that networking now and stay in touch. You know, keep notes about who you talk to. Get their contact information. If they have a card, some people still carry cards, not everyone does, but get a card or get their contact info. Follow up with them. Write a thank you note. Thank them for their time or their presentation, or say you enjoyed meeting them and would love to learn more about their company. You know, it's all, you know, it's network. You know, we call it a networking reception for a reason, because you're making your own personal contacts. And it's not uncommon for people to reach out to us and say, you know, who are those students from Ball State, or who are those students from Temple? You know, how do we get in touch with them? If you reach out to them first, they're going to remember you. And even if you don't need the job this year, I assume you're going to need it at some point, you know, after this year. So.
And we're actually in the process of creating, thank you to all. I've noticed some of you have added us to you're following us on social media now, and LinkedIn is a particularly helpful place to do that, for us to connect with you and you to connect with us. We're going to be establishing a special private LinkedIn group for alumni of Media Scholars and Media Fellows, specifically because our partners and sponsors have said, where can we go and actively post job opportunities and internship opportunities and reach a vetted audience of students and young professionals with these opportunities. So in some ways, you know, seniors don't have all the advantages, you know, underclassmen, juniors and sophomores who have a little bit more time and to build those relationships over the remaining time of their college career. That will serve you well as well. All righty, so I am going to now go to Brigham Young. Hey guys, Maddie, it's Gabby and Maddie. I'm learning. Okay.
So I had a question about the written document. Is it still are all the requirements still gonna stay the same, and like the page length too, the 10 pages?
Yeah, and the 10 pages, it's kind of a guideline. It's more to protect us and the judges from having to read really, really long entries. You know, we think that you can say all that you need to say in 10 pages. Again, if you want to rework it, that's fine. If you want to leave it as is, that's fine too. It's really your decision at this point. But yeah, the case won't change from here on out. We've had years where we've thrown a curveball in. We don't have any intention of doing that this year, since this is our first year back in person. We're making sure that piece goes smoothly. It's the curveball, yeah. Fingers crossed, it all goes off well. But yeah, this year the case won't change. So what you have is what you get.
I am sensitive that we're coming up on an hour here, or we're at an hour. So I just want to make sure that I think this is old news to everyone, but just to cover it very quickly, the 6 teams who come to DC are competing for $18,500 in scholarship money. So the first place team, each of those team members will receive $5,000. And the second place team, each team receives $3,000. And then we have a very special sort of citizenship award, might be the best way to say it. Maya Guyon, who is a former alum and who tragically passed away, it'll be 4 years she was an Iowa State student who died in a car accident, and her family and the Media Scholars Foundation set up a scholarship in her honor. And so there's one recipient who receives that $2,500 scholarship as well. And we've been through the Q&A. So I just want to remind you, please, if you haven't already, get me your bios and mini profiles. You'll be receiving another email from me, which has these two important documents, the travel questionnaire and the consent form. And I do need those returned to me by April 13th. And then get your game plan ready. Start tweaking, start rehearsing, start thinking about what direction you want to go for the final presentation, and definitely save these dates on your calendar, the May 23rd and 24th, 9 a.m. to 12, and then the week of June 5th to 9th. And I think I did say this, I know I said it in your letters, your congratulatory letters. If you cannot participate in the Media Scholars Week events, unfortunately, we can't have you continue in the competition at this time. So please get in touch with me offline if you truly can't participate. We appreciate you letting us know as early as possible so that we can get another team to take your place. But we do hope that we're looking at the circle of finalists here, and there's going to be lots more fun ahead. So before we say goodbye for now, were there any remaining questions? And again, just a reminder, if advisors can hang on for maybe 5 or 10 more minutes, that would be great. All right. Well, great. Well, thanks, everybody. Students are welcome to drop off, and we'll be in touch with you soon. Bye.
Thank you.
Great.
I do have a quick question that I just wanted to I'll probably email you about it, but so unfortunately I was summoned for jury duty that week. So is there any chance that I could have a letter written from the foundation so that I could forward it to them and get out of jury duty?
Yes, Mia, send me an email after this and provide me the address. I don't know. I honestly don't know the rules around that. My husband recently had the same situation, and he had a board meeting the week of jury duty, and they accepted that answer. So hopefully, because you're far enough in advance, they'll be able to work around it. But yes, we can provide a statement that might be helpful.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate the information today. Have a good one.
Great, thanks. All right, everybody. It's so great to meet all of you as well. And I've heard so much about so many of you as long-standing friends of Media Scholars, and to the new folks in the bunch, welcome. And we wanted to just give you some information as well, because while this is an experience and sometimes a life-changing experience geared towards students, we do invite professors and mentors to come to DC if they are available, and we offer some travel supplements and complimentary hotel arrangements to help make that possible. So just to recap, we are able to extend a $350 travel stipend to you, whether that's planes, trains, or automobiles. However you want to arrive in DC, we can offer up to $350 in reimbursement for those expenses. And then we are also able to cover 2 nights at our host hotel, which is the Residence in Arlington Capitol View. So that's in Crystal City, which is actually the new headquarters for Amazon, and very, very close to Reagan National Airport. So it's very easy and inexpensive to get to and from the airport as well there. But I just at least wanted to let you know that. So I will be sending, just like I'm sending to the students, I will also be sending to all of you the travel questionnaire, and you can let me know if you're interested in partaking and if you're going to be able to join us. As Ben mentioned, and I'm going to have Jay take over here in just a minute, because he's sort of offered as one of the veteran alumni of this group to help plan some networking events and opportunities for all of you while the students might be occupied elsewhere. But we are able to have you, of course, observe your students as they're competing. The dinner on Wednesday at Landini Brothers is also an option to attend that if you're able. And the luncheon, the awards luncheon, we also have allocated, as we're really at a limited capacity at the luncheon, so I just have to keep an eye on those numbers, but we do have you factored into those head counts. So please do feel free to come. And then the media mixer is also another opportunity where you can come, and I would even welcome you if you have, we would love your help building the network of academic advisors and professors and teachers who know about media scholars and know about the opportunities. So if you wanted to bring a +1 who is somebody in the academic community and happens to be local and can make that event, we would be totally excited about that. But with that, Jay, you want to chat with everyone about what you were thinking?
Okay, good. Yeah. Okay. So I'm Jay, and I edit the Journal of Advertising Education, and I've been involved with the organization since about 2014 or so. And there were just a couple things, almost like random points that I wanted to make sure that people were aware of. If your program is accredited by ACE, JMC, or maybe as a business program, having your students in the finals is big news. It's a very big thing for the accreditors, and that's because the accreditation assessment programs typically look for direct measures of student performance, and there's no more direct a measure of student performance than participating in this competition. So make sure your chairs, who are going to be the ones who care mostly about accreditation, know this. This also looks really cool on resumes, on CVs, not only for your students, but for us. That our universities, at least mine especially, looks for evidence of outside performance from faculty members, and this looks very, very good for this, as it should. I mean, you getting your students into this thing is amazing. Just a couple of smaller points about event points. Thursday, the day of the competition itself, tends to be really, really boring. In that the students are waiting, making each other feel nervous. And I participated in that and just helped the students even feel more nervous. What I've done since in the last couple times is set up an area for profs like us to hang out in the hotel, maybe down the lobby. I'm thinking, so absolutely welcome to come. The rules of the organization are that you can sit in on your own students' presentations, but not the other ones. So you've got a lot of sitting around to do too. So we do that. And then one more thing, and you said, Kara, that we're invited to the Metropolitan Club of Washington. I invite everyone to search that on Wikipedia or Google or any place else. It is the most gobsmackingly overwhelming place I have ever been in. I mean, I've never seen wainscoting. It's an old club. It was founded I believe in the Lincoln administration. With the wainscoting going to the ceiling, crystal chandeliers everywhere. It is quite the amazing place, and I'm sure your faculty lounges look just like this. Mine doesn't. Mine's mostly Formica. This place is no Formica. Anyway, but yeah, thanks. And I'm really, I know some of you guys, and looking forward to hanging out with the rest. I hope you all make it to DC.
Yeah, that is really old school, old DC establishment, and jacket and tie are required, no cell phones allowed inside. So there's lots of rules. Robin is already a nervous wreck thinking about how we're going to comply with all these things, but it's a special experience. So I'm so glad that we can, and this luncheon gives us, I don't think that we've had time to do this in years past because students have either been on tours or doing their presentations. We will be seating the students and advisors amongst those industry professionals who are really supporting at the highest levels in order to get in the room there that day. So they really think it's a big deal that they're at the luncheon, and we will equip the students. We don't want them to go into something blind. So we will let the students know whom they're seated with so that they have a little bit of that information going in and can be thoughtful and think, and we're trying to match, obviously, to the extent possible. I mean, we have to seat people somewhere, so we'll try and match interests as much as we can, but at least they'll know a little background going in. And on the flip side of that too, we'll provide the sponsors and those that they're seated with information about the students. So it was actually Marta who asked me if advisors should also submit their bio and mini profile. And I thought it was a great question. I hadn't really considered it, but I don't see it. I think it would be very helpful if and when you have a moment, if you have a little CV and a headshot that you want to send to us, that would be helpful for when you're coming to DC. It's sometimes nice to have a little festival of faces too, so people can recognize you in a room and just know a little bit about your background as well. And they can seek you out if they have questions about your programs or if they have programs in the area. So Jay, I want to thank you for offering to be sort of the ringleader of some of the social fun outside of the planned events on the schedule. And all of you have been connected by email through that invitation to join today's call. So you should be able to reach one another in advance, but Ben has provided his email address. You can always use me as a go-between if you need to get in touch with anybody at National Media. Just send it to me and I'll direct it to the right place. But we're really excited and looking forward to getting to know more about you and your students in the coming weeks.
Thank you all so much, and thanks for the the reimbursements for the travel and everything. It's so amazing that you guys do that, really. I mean, especially in these times, I don't know if I would have been able to come. I don't know if my school would have reimbursed it. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much.
You're welcome. We appreciate all that you're doing behind the scenes to support the students on their journey to get here. So we're happy, and we hope to be able to see many of you in June. All right. Thanks
Thank
again,
you.
everybody. Have a great
Thanks so
Wednesday.
much.
Thank
See
you
you
very
guys.
much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Kara. See ya.
Thanks. Bye.